once we've got that, we go back to the collation editor and we're going to type in our verse, Jude 1, just like that. And it doesn't matter if it's capitalized or not. So I've done it both ways and it works. That does not respect the capitalization. It's just looking for the format. Then you can collate project witnesses. If you've already been collating and you've been saving your work along the way, you can reload the collation from the point at which you saved it. But we haven't done that. One other thing here is you change collation settings. There's different algorithms for the alignment and how it works with the files. I've had a lot of success with the Decker algorithm, and I haven't used this much, but I'm going to set it to auto, and we're just going to let it do this. All right, well, once we've set our information here, and we'll just leave it, again, like we said, we'll just leave it as is with the default settings. Then we're going to come and we're going to collate project witness. We'll wait. It's a lot of information. It'll take a couple seconds here to get working. Okay, here we are. This is an initial step. So for digital collation, then we're going to need to regularize the words to the extent that we can in this stage, and then align them. So the program is doing alignment, some level of alignment, but we can come through and start regularizing things, and that'll reduce some of the work we have to do later. For example, I'm going to not necessarily regularize this one, because sometimes when you have one little bracket, as you see here on Yakobu, sometimes those end up being ambiguous readings because of problems with the manuscript, and they're included as such in the apparatus. So we're going to wait on that just to kind of, and we would know that either by reference to the manuscripts or by reference to the critical edition, and I'm using the critical edition to help along the way. But other things we can regularize, like Yakobu here, this is the same spelling. So you have an option to mark something as reconstructed or regularized with just the dots underneath the letters. We can be safe to regularize them. Here, this Yakobu here, this is likely an alternate spelling, so we can regularize that now, or we can regularize it later. And we're going to regularize that. We can do the same with this one. Regularize it. I'll leave these alone, and I'm only really regularizing to the base text at the moment. I'm leaving the other ones alone. We can regularize nomina sacra, so to to theo, regularize it. Here we can see Hegias Menois and Hegias Menois in the A reading. That's the base reading. And we can choose to regularize some of these and leave others. So you drag them onto the word you want to regularize it to. Here we can go to town on all these nomina sacra. So this is Jesu, so we can regularize. And you have to regularize them one a piece. Jesu, that we can regularize too. Christo, that's nice. Regularize that. Once I'm going to finish regularizing some of these, you can see over here for Kletois, these are sort of reconstructed, and so we're going to reconstruct. We're just going to regularize as reconstructed. What that'll do is when we're in the next stage, it's just going to read Kletois, and it's not going to read with the brackets because we've already decided to regularize the spelling. Same we can do with these other ones. So I'm going to do that quickly. I'm going to pause the video, do that, and then I'll come back and show you what we do next. Say Adelphos here. regularize as reconstructed, do loss. We can regularize that as reconstructed. All right. Once you've done the regularization, you need to recollate. And so you hit the recollate. There you go. Now that it's recollated, we're going to save our work, and then we're going to move to set variance. You can see that once we've done that, and once we've saved it, down here, the regularization stage turns green. We can always go back to that stage. So we need to be careful because we may lose work we do here. So if we go back, if we haven't saved things, we're going to lose here work. Now here in this part is where we set our variation units. The way you do that here, for example, maybe I want to put together here Jesu Christu doulos, right? So I'm just going to grab them and drag them on top of one another, and you can see they then group up. Now Judas is one unit, but here we have quite a bit here in this first one. This is just how the collation editor aligned everything. So we can start putting things together. You can see if we put them all together, we've got some issues going on. Here we have Judas coupled with these, so we don't really want to do that. I'm going to if you right click on this, you realize now I need to resplit that up. You can split the words up again, and I have Judas here. Let's try to group everything that we can. I think if we do that, we have these doulos, Christu, Christ. Here we have Judas at the end over here. That's fine. We have initial Judas all here grouped together, and then 3. We're going to bring this over and combine it with this. So when you go through and you got to line things up. If you need to move something, for example, once you have them all grouped, you can right click on it and split readings. And if you needed to move something from here over to here, you could do that. And so sometimes you'll have to move a piece from one group to another to combine it with its proper, with its corresponding variation unit, if the collation editor doesn't connect them right. So that's the process that we go through in this stage. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to group them all, and then I'll come back and show how you regularize them also in this stage. Okay, now that I've established the variation units, I need to regularize the readings or combine them, mark them in some way. For example, here in this variation unit 4 to 8, which is Jesu Christu doulos, I can right click and split the readings. And then I see here that Jesu Christu doulos, we have the dots under the letters. This is from the transcription. Really does correspond to the A reading. So we'll regularize it to A. Here we have the nomina sacra, Jesu Christu doulos, so we can regularize this. We select all the manuscripts or witnesses, and then regularize it to A. Christu doulos, doulos Jesu Christu, Christu Jesu doulos. Here we have a Christu Jesu doulos. We'll regularize that to its reading D. And then Jesu Christu doulos, Jesu Christu doulos, or Judas Jesu Christu doulos. That's its own. Jesu Christu doulos adelphos. Now that adelphos seems like it should go over here. So if that happens, we can recombine them, and then we can split the words again. So we have adelphos over here, and we're going to start. We see it's there, so undo. Okay, so here we have it. So we want to put that adelphos over here, so we can split those readings and then move adelphos over. And then we can just keep moving. Now, sometimes this will create a problem. We'll check to make sure it doesn't in a moment. And the ideal here is to move adelphos over and combine it. So we've done that. So we've just by moving it over, and then we can recombine 4 to 8. There we go. And now we'll have to re-regularize these. So we're going to save that though and make sure I didn't create a problem for myself. Sometimes moving them does create an issue. Okay, I didn't, and then I can move back by clicking set. It won't let you go forward if things are sort of out of order in a wrong way. But this is fine. We've put that in here, and we'll just re-regularize this quickly. So we've regularized reading B to A because it's the same reading. We regularize the nomina sacra. We'll just do this quickly again. Sometimes you have to do it over. And then Christu Jesu, this goes regularized to C, right? Good. And then here, sometimes you get these lac film. That comes from the transcriptions. But all that means is that that section is lacunos there. So what we can do there is we can mark it regularized, but we're not regularizing it to any reading. It's lacunos. So we can come down, we can choose omitted gap or other. I choose gap here, and I type in the details LAC. So mark there, and it then appears here as lacunos. Jesu Christu doulos, that we're going to regularize to A. And then Christu doulos. Good. And so there, we have then fixed up that variation unit and regularized it, and we're going to recombine it. So then we do that with all the rest, and I'm going to do the rest of this. I'm going to go through and do this very same thing to all of the readings, and then I'll come back and we'll show the rest of the process. Okay, once all of the readings are established, readings that belong with other readings have been regularized. Error readings have been included with their parent reading, which will be marked later as error readings. Once that's all done, ambiguous readings have been sort of left there, and they'll be marked as ambiguous later as well. But once we've done that, we can move on to the next step. So we want to make sure we save our work, move to reorder variants, and here we can actually reorder them. We can move them up and down. Honestly, I like the order. I want to leave it just as is. But for the time being, it looks good. So we're going to save it at this stage as well, and I'm going to approve the collation. So this is just verse 1. So we're going to approve it, and you can see all these stages here are now green. We can collapse all if we don't want to see all this. And we can see just the base reading. And then now we could also, by the way, look at individual readings now by selecting a manuscript here. And here at the bottom, we would see that individual reading. But we don't need to do that right now. We just, what we want to do is get the apparatus, which is the XML file that contains all the information that we've just done. And so the process that we'll go through now is that we'll take that file, put it into the Apparatus Explorer, and then set the priority and posteriority of variants in the Apparatus Explorer. As well, we will tag some of these readings as errors or orthographic variations or whatever, or ambiguous readings. We'll tag all of those, and then we will save that file out. So, and that will later get combined with all the other collations of all the other verses of Jude into one big file that would get imported into the CBGM for use in analysis in that program. So we get apparatus, and then it asks us to save this. So we're just going to save it as Jude 1, and I have a folder for this. I'm actually going to create a new folder because those folders are for other tests that I was doing. Jude full. I'm just going to do Jude complete Wasserman. That way I know what I'm saving. And then I'm going to save Jude 1 into this folder. And that's done. Now we've collated Jude 1.